move if I accidentally move.
Well, don't move it. Well, if you move over.
Is it on?
Well, you gotta move over. You probably be like a foot over.
What?
Yeah, because you
Can I just? Why can't I just hold it? I'm fine with holding it.
But no. Yeah, that'd be better.
Better.
Did you ever find Genesis?
No, it was Hebrews I was looking for.
Whenever the brother's ready.
It's on?
Yeah, it's on.
No,
Somewhere to sit?
No, I was looking for a diaper bag.
Oh, it's right here. Sorry.
One of the, I will, but one of the brothers, y'all want to open up in prayer, that'd be cool. Sir Maccabee or Norvinian. Or brother Rudy, or brother.
Bottled water's right here, James.
I prefer
He drinks water downstairs.
After this manner, therefore, we pray. Pray ye. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Anybody wants to act? Amen.
Amen. Alright, let me get some water real quick. Alright, shalom everybody, and happy Sabbath. This lesson is going to be walking in favor versus walking as a hustler. In this culture, the hustler is a big means to surviving and getting things done and whatnot, but biblically, everybody who succeeded always walked in favor of YAH. So we're going to talk about the two and the origins of the hustler and see where that comes from and whatnot. But pray the lesson go out in truth and sincerity, and we can do some research on this, pull this up. So we're going to start talking about the origins of the hustler. All right, go to some sites and pull it up. All right. A little bit. Now, the hustler. Someone who tries to deceive people into giving them money. That's one of the root definitions of it. Go to a few examples of it. So that's one. And this is the other one. So y'all can have some understanding on this type of a word. Because I did a lesson years ago about the power of words and, be careful what you call yourself and call people. Like, a lot of people eat Campbell's, and a lot of people don't know what that means. Campbell's means crooked mouth. Welch's means failure to pay. The power of words about what you put on yourself and take in, it could have negative effects. Like, they did a study on the power of words with plants. They will call one plant beautiful, delightful, and the plant would grow and flourish, and the other one what they call stupid and say negative things too, and it didn't produce as the other one did, who were told more so favorable words. So the power of words do have power, you know. But this one reads, one who obtains money by fraud or deceit, a scammer, a swindler, a financial hustler who orchestrated, well, that's something else, but somebody, one of the investors who did some swindling in the stock market. Okay. And the etymology of the word. That's one thing people should go to about looking up words, the etymology of words, to find out what's the root meaning of it. So that's one good site to go to if you're ever curious about what a word means, you know, the origins of it. And this one reads in 1825, a thief, especially one who roughs up his victims, you know, a very violent type of person. Sense of one who is energetic in work or business. But when you look at this with a more technical eye, it says especially, but not originally, a salesman. So this is not dealing with somebody who's energetic in business or whatnot, but the sense of a prostitute dates from 1924. So the origin of this phrase is rooted in negativity. So and I'm sure a lot of us have heard rap or listened to rap that glorifies this persona of the hustler. And we're going to compare what the Bible wants us to walk in. Right? Okay, and this is some, you know, a few songs to show how, you know, you already in here to yes, you know, so.
You got some of my songs.
You're right, I'm a hustler. We got Tupac, Jay-Z, Cassidy, 50 Cent, Pimp C, I'm a hustler. You know, he's a pimp, and he's a hustler. And some of these people are associated with homosexuality. We're going to talk about that too, and to say how this word hustler is also associated with homosexuality. It has an origins. You know, some Ice-T, some Yo Gotti, Notorious B.I.G. There's just a few that glorifies this means of relationship with this word. And let me go. Where's that one?
Right, okay.
What?
I just went right the website down.
Which one?
The editing.
Oh, here, I'll pull it back up for you. Let me know when you finish. Good job, sister. You get a start for today.
I was just
Yeah,
about
she
to
about
say,
to
teacher
get a start.
Jehu.
She does get a start today. So.
Teacher Jehu.
I got it.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
And then sticker board.
But yes, next, y'all will next Sabbath.
Don't
Y'all
do
will.
it.
Yeah, next week. You know. Okay, and this is a more. Somebody already went into great detail about this word and the history of it. And read this too, and then we're gonna go into some scriptures after this. I'm just gonna read the highlighted part. This is an article that somebody did on Every Day We're Hustling, Why We Love Hustlers But Not Whores. Now, I'm not going to focus on the whore part, but that is related to that as well. Okay? And simply put, a hustler is someone who knows how to get stuff done. But in the past, a hustler was most often a male sex worker. So, you know, you gotta, about the power of words, being very knowledgeable about what you call yourself and put on yourself. Because some people call each other fools. What up, fool? Like in the 90s, what up? And we know fool is one of the worst things you could ever call somebody, biblically. You know, but they glorify this nevertheless. But in the past, a hustler was most often a male sex worker or anyone, usually a man, who's a bit of a swindler, as we spoke about a second ago. One could say hustler bears some semblance to feminized whore, another word loaded with notions around money, fornication, and savory business practices, except while we're being socially conditioned want to be hustles. I think we're trying to get that. Then the next, the history of hustle, the hustler. Despite being a younger word, the meaning of hustler is perhaps even more slipperier than whore, but it holds a pattern of describing distasteful behavior. It probably originated in the 1700s, where we went to the etymology site. That's what that link would be. In the general sense of shape or toss, by the 19th century, a hustler was a violent thief or a ruthless businessman. In 1884, it adopted the meaning of energetic in work or business, like we read a second ago. It wasn't until the 1920s that it adopted the meaning of a male sex worker. And we know in I'm sure a lot of y'all checked out the Illuminati type stuff and how a lot of these rappers are into homosexuality, what they do behind closed doors, I think Rick Ross, he was talking about him wearing underwear, pants with no underwear to Jay-Z in one song. Tupac, he had this little homosexual type stuff going on too, laying in the bathtub, naked with jewelry, the rap culture is full of homosexuality. That's my point. But they like to call each other hustlers. At the same time, writers seem to start using hustlers more liberally. Its use skyrocketed in the mid 1960s, peaking in the mid 1970s. And if y'all might be familiar with that. Some of y'all old enough to remember black exploitation films. That's the same time that stuff started to really come about in black culture with being a hustler. I'm gonna get you sucker and all that pimp movies and all that stuff. That's when they were really using that word to attach to Negroes, to Israel. This was the era that brought us Midnight Cowboy, Robert, whatever his last name is, and the Gay Culture magazine Drummer, which, according to the magazine's former editor-in-chief, Jack, was the first gay magazine. Was the first gay magazine to report, encourage, and glorify hustler culture. So, this stuff like this, I don't want to be attached to, especially being a straight male of Zion. I don't want to be attached to some homosexual magazine from the 70s, and this was, they established themselves in that type of hustler stuff. And glorified hustler culture as a valid there we go, fetish style in the pre-Grindr era. There we go. The hustler archetype has experienced a steady, exponentially positive, and despite its deep roots in gay culture, heterosexual treatment in the media. Hustler magazine, launched in 1975 as a more graphic version of Playboy. It boasted a circulation of 3.8 million in 1976, and while that number declined significantly in subsequent years, the magazine is arguably the mainstream's prototype of the heterosexually least hustler as aspiration. There we go. See why this is so helpful? Rather than the oratory. One on the big screen, Richard brought male sex work to life in American Gigolo, but the film is a departure not only from how female sex workers are portrayed, but also from the reality of the male sex work. Picture talks about a segment of straight married men who hire straight or straight acting men for unemotional body fornication, but in a heteronormative society, we rarely, if ever, witness this hustle dynamic in the media, which is perhaps why the word has invaded its stigma. Our collectively sculptured perception of male sex work matches heterosexual dynamics we not only accept but often glorify. Women hires a man or man pimps the woman. Our filtered perception dilutes our vocabulary. In the case of a hustler, the word was stripped of its negative connotations, leaving it with an exclusively positive and glorified connotation. In hip-hop, a hustler went from a drug dealer, Ice-T, New Jack City, 1999, to a blanket term for masculinity. Yacht Life Ambitions, Rick Ross hit "I'm a Hustler," later sampled in LMFA, old party rock anthem. I think that's the gist of this, and this will be the last part of this. There are business execs who hustle their way to depression, yet hustling has grown into a celebrated phenomenon. Men or women were encouraged to be ruthless, to lean in, to work 70 hours weeks, neglect vacations, and furiously hit the pavement. For some people, the pavement is the bed, and as PJ Harvey says, the whore hustle and the hustle whore. But there's a little background on the word hustler and see how it has all these negative connections and whatnot. But the root of this lesson is how Yah doesn't want us to walk as a hustler, but walk in favor. And we're going to go into some scriptures here to give some examples of that. And you know, we understand the word, and I'll just to make it to edify, we're going to look at the word favor real quick too. Now this is a few definitions of favor. The etymology of it again. Attractiveness. There we go. Attractiveness, beauty, charm, from Old French. From Old French, a favor, apparel, praise, applause, partiality, etc., etc. So it's just good, comely things, you know, beautiful things. And this is from the Blue Letter Bible about favor. It goes right here. Favor, grace in a person, graciousness, grace on the part of a giver, favor, kindness, a sense of favor, receives thanks, it renders favor. And there's some scriptures that go along with it as well. And I think there's one more. This is a biblical example. I like this one, so I'll show. Right, 28. And the angel came in unto her, was Mary, and said, hell means like great, basically. Thou that art highly favored, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. So, you know, this is a biblical example of, you know, how that word favor is used in the biblical. You never hear nothing, Yah or angel come to somebody, thou art the best hustler and Yah favor is upon thee. You know, it's nothing like that. Now we're going to get into some scriptures about this. First, we're going to go to Zechariah chapter 8, verse 3 to 6. What is one of Yah's wants for his children? Anybody got an answer for that? What's one of Yah's wants for his children? Mm-hmm. Yep. What is one of Yah wants for his children? She said obedience. What does Yah want for his children? What's one thing that Yah wants for his children? Now, the matter of this lesson is favor, so probably stay in that line.
Prosperity.
There we go. Yah wants you to have prosperity. He wants to make the road of blessings for you and for you just to walk into it. He don't want you to do any heavy lifting. Even himself said, who can build me a house? You know what I'm saying? Yah doesn't need anybody's help to do a miracle, you know, in an aspect. And he doesn't need anybody's help to make somebody rich or anything. He has everything that he wants. All he wants is family time with his family. That's all. He wants his children. You can't truly give Yah nothing back but a soul. That's the only thing truly you can give Yah back. Everything else he has, money, wealth, he has the earth, he has air, etc., etc. You okay, Brother Rudy?
Yeah, did you just say Zechariah 8, 3?
Right, I'm about the subject line of this.
Looking at what you look on it.
Oh, we're gonna. Don't worry about that anymore. I'm done with that. That was just to show the hustling stuff. But Zechariah chapter 8. Let's get to it. Zechariah chapter 8. Zechariah 8 and 3 to 6. All right. And to speak unto the priests which were in the house of the El of hosts, and the prophet, saying, should I weep in the 5th month, separating myself? Oh, that's verse chapter 7. Zechariah chapter 8, verse 3 to 6. Thus said YAH, I am returned unto Zion, and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem shall be called a city of truth, and the mountain of El of hosts, the holy mountain. Thus said El of hosts, there shall yet old men and old women dwell in the streets of Jerusalem, and every man with his staff in his hand for very age. And the streets of the city shall be full of boys and girls playing in the streets thereof. Thus said El of hosts, if it be marvelous in the eyes of the remnant of this people in those days, should it also be marvelous in mine eyes, said El. So, again, Yah just wants to bless his children. He already did all the heavy work, all the hard work, and he just wants y'all to be blessed and abundant. 2 more scriptures on this is Luke chapter 15, verse 11 to 32. Luke 15. Luke 15, verse 11 to 32. Okay. And he said, a certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. And he divided unto his living. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together, and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance, his blessings, with riotous living. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of the country, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husk that the swine did eat. And no man gave unto him, no person showed him favor of no sort. And when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger. I will arise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee, and I am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thine hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him, and had compassion, and ran and fell on his neck, and kissed him. How Yah sees his children down here. He's you and me. He wants us to come back to him so he can, be with us, and and the favor comes with that. But he misses us. 21. And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in thine sight, and I am no more worthy to be called thy son. But the father said to his servants, Bring forth the best robe, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet, and bring hither the fatted calf, and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead, and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to be merry. Now his elder son was in the field, and as he came and drew nigh to his house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants, and asked what these things meant. And he said unto him, thy brother is come, and thy father hath killed the fatted calf, because he hath received him safe and sound. And he was angry, and would not go in. Therefore came his father out, and entreated him. And he answering said to his father, Lo, these many years do I serve thee, neither transgressed I at any time thy commandments. And yet thou never gavest me a kid, that I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this thy son was come, which hath devoured thy living with harlots, thou hast killed for him the fatted calf. And he said unto him, Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. And this is 2:32. I'm stop right there. It was meant that we should make merry and be glad, for thy brother was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found. So you can see how favor of YAH is working right here. His son spent all his riches and whatnot, but who his father is and who your father is, it comes with benefits. That's why when Paul said, what benefit is it to be a Jew? Much in every way. Your father has all the riches that everybody want and everything. So when you come back to your father, you ain't gotta spend 40 hours working in a week, 100 hours working in a week, because he has his favor upon you. You don't have to go overboard to get good things with YAH, because he can just provide it to you. Another example is Proverbs 13:22. Not saying don't work hard, but you don't have to have the hustler mindset of I gotta be a go-getter, I gotta do this. And we'll get another example is with Abraham when he came out of Egypt. He didn't work for not one bit of that jewelry and those servants. Y'all just gave it to him. Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. And these are the things that YAH wants for his children. He just like Adam. You know, there's no scripture that Adam was born and he had to till the ground and he had to do all this hard work to reap the benefits of the Garden of Eden. He was born and he was placed in the garden and he reaped the benefits of being there. It was already made for him to enjoy. The next is how we went from YAH fundamental of favor to the birth of the hustler. Genesis chapter 2, verse 8-25. So, Adam in the garden messed that situation up where we just had the easy life of abundance without any complication. And then we got put into this state where the hustler mindset is readily available to us because we long for the things that YAH has taken from us. But, you know, we're going to talk about that, going back to him and getting right with him so he can bless us. Genesis chapter 2, verse 8-25. And El planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man who he had formed. And out of the ground made El to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, and good for food. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted, and became into 4 heads. The name of the first is Pison, that is it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. There is bullion, and the oxen stone there. And the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel, that is it which goeth towards the east of Assyria. And the fourth river is Euphrates. And the Lord God took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And El commanded the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it. For in that day thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. And El said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet. And out of the ground El formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to fowls of the air, and to every beast of the field. But Adam there was not found a helpmeet for him. And El caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which El had taken from the man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and surely shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. 25. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. So you see right here, like I was saying a minute ago, how YAH just provided everything for Adam, even gave him a helpmeet, a companion, and whatnot, to be with, and whatnot. And now we're going to go to Genesis chapter 3, 11 and 19 to see how we got into this mess of having that spirit of I gotta go get it. 11 to 19. Chapter 3, verse 11 and 19. And he said, who told this that thou was naked? After they have eaten of the tree, hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? And the man said, the woman whom thou gavest to me with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And El said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And El said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. 19. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow. You see how we went from the easy life and y'all placing the curses on us. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thine husband, and he shall rule over thee. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of, cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thine face shalt thou eat, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it was thou taken, for dust art thou, and unto dust shalt thou return. You see how Adam got caught up in the system of just walking in favor with YAH, living a good life to man. Now he got to be a go-getter. And a lot of times when we get put in this situation, we stop trusting YAH and try to take on this hustler manifestation because it's promoted in this world. Go be a go-getter. Go do this. Instead of seeking YAH in his favorable ways. When we seek YAH in his favor, things are much more easier and simpler than getting it ourselves. Because it's back-breaking work, you picking up stuff, when YAH has the strength and ability to pick up that mountain that you can't move. And that's that walking in favor. Now, a hustler might try to blow up that mountain. I got to get past the other side. But YAH can just pick it up or pick you up and avoid that obstacle. Now we're gonna go to Genesis chapter 12 and show you some how Yah placed favor on particular people and how their outcome was. Genesis chapter 12, verse 1 to 4, and then we'll go to 14 to 20. Genesis chapter 12. Genesis 12, 1 to 4, and then 14 to 20. All right. Now El had said unto Abraham, Get thee out of thy country, and from thine kindred, and from thine father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curses thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abraham departed as El had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him, and Abraham was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Now we'll go to 14 to 20, verse 14 to verse 20. And it came to pass that when Abraham was coming to Egypt, the Egyptians beheld the woman that she was very fair, talking about his wife. The princes also of Pharaoh saw her and commanded her before Pharaoh. And the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abraham well for her sake. And he had sheep and oxen and he asses and manservants and maidservants and she asses and camels. And El plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. And Pharaoh called Abraham and said, What is this that thou hast done unto me? Why hast thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Why shouldest thou, she is my sister? Why saidst thou, she is my sister? So I might have taken her to be my wife. Now therefore, behold, thy wife, take her, and go thy way. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him that they sent him away and his wife and all that he had. Okay, and we see how he got manservants, maidservants, and all that stuff. Abraham went in there, quote unquote, broke, and then he left a day later, paid in full. You know, he didn't have to work for it. He had to hustle for it. All he had to do was be obedient to Yah, and Yah blessed him abundantly. Now we're going to go to the next one. Is going to be the same conclusion of this. 13, 1 to 8. We finish reading that. And Abraham went up out of Egypt, and he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abraham was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journey from the south, even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar, which he had made there at the first. And there Abraham called on the name of El. And Lot also, which went with Abraham, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell there together. For their substance was great, so that they could not dwell there together. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abraham's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanites and the Perizzites dwelt then in the land. 8. And Abraham said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thine herdmen, for we are brethren. Meaning, if you get this, that they were so blessed and highly favored by Yah that their blessings got so big that the land could not sustain both of their blessings. You get that? So they was like, hey man, well let me go this way because we're going to have conflict because Yah is blessing us so much that our blessings are just, compassing all of the land. So this to show you that keynote that when Yah is wanting to bless you and show favor to you, his blessings have no limits. You're going to need more space when he blesses you. And this is why we don't have to be that hustler mindset of I gotta da 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 da. Work hard. Not saying don't work hard, but don't be out here in a worldly state of mind. Work hard with YAH. You know what I'm saying? Cause you might be dog tired, like especially the drivers in here. Hey man, but this one place, hey man, we'll give you $4,000. I can't. I'm so tired, and you'll risk your life to get that extra money, and then 2 days later, something come up, be like, hey man, I got an $8,000 load for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all don't want to miss out on something, and then bam, y'all open up another door for you for that favor. When you walk in the favor of y'all, stuff like that happens all the time. I mean, all the time. All right, the next example is going to be Genesis 37, verse 1 to 11. Genesis 37, 1 to 11. And, as we read these scriptures, nowhere you're seeing that Abraham, he was just working all hard, breaking his back. He was just obedient to Yah, and it came with benefits of Yah's favor. This is 37, 1 to 11. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the land was with the sons of Belha, and with the sons of Zophar, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he had made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him, and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And this is another aspect, sometimes you be telling people stuff like, hey man, y'all blessing me like this, and people like, I hate you. Alright? But you're not understanding why this person is being blessed, or you're not focusing on that. Well, they rocking with Yah. And Yah just show them that favor, because it ain't nothing for Yah to give everybody in here $10 billion. That ain't, what I'm saying? Is he going to do that? I don't know. Yah will. But if you walk in Yah's favor and walk with him, we talk about that a little later, you are more likely to have these phenomenal blessings, In verse 6, and he said unto him, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For, behold, we were building sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made, what's that word? Obscenes to my, well, basically they fell down and worshiped. They bowed down to my sheep. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams, for his words. This is 11. And this is show you this ain't nothing new in Israel about the hatred one might get because they might be blessed. This is long hatred from many years ago. At verse 9, and he dreamed yet another dream, and told it to his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon, the 11 stars made, they bowed down to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him, and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brother indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same. So just showing you here some more blessings, and then we're going to go to the later end of this, how this manifested in chapter 41, verse 9 to 16. Genesis chapter 41, verse 9 to 16. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, because Joseph got in a situation. Y'all don't know the story. He got sold by his brothers to be a slave, and then they sold him to the Egyptians, and he wound up getting thrown in jail, and right now he's in jail. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants, and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night, and I and he, we dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, a Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream that he did interpret. And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine, and it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. This is the 16. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon, and he shaved himself and changed his raiment, and came in unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered to Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. YAH shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. And then we're going to go to 37 to 45. So he's talking to Pharaoh right now, and he's saying, it's not me that's going to interpret this dream that you're having, but it's actually YAH. And we're going to see how Joseph became highly favored in this aspect and blessed in this moment. Verse 37 to 45. And in the 70th years the earth brought forth by handfuls, and he gathered up all the food of the 7 years, which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities, the food of the field, which was round about every city, laid he up in the same. And Joseph gathered corn as in the sand of the sea, very much until he left numbering, for it was without number. And unto Joseph were born two sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bore unto him. And Joseph called the name of, am I reading the right one? 45. I'm reading 30. I'm reading 47. Excuse me. I'm supposed to be reading 37. And the thing, verse 37, Genesis 41:37. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servant, Can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the spirit of YAH is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, For as much as YAH hath shown thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot, which he had, and they cried before him, bowed the knee, and he made him a ruler over the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without or foot in the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph the name of Zephanath Paneh, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of all the land of Egypt. But the point here is see how Joseph came in here. He was a prisoner at first, and then walking in Yah's favor, he became second in command of basically the world at this particular time because everybody in the world basically came to Egypt for corn and food. So when the blessings of Yah is on you, you know, he'll put you in marvelous situations and marvelous favor. One last one on this one is Job chapter 1, verse 1 to 3. Job chapter 1, verse 1 to 3. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feareth Yah and eschewed evil. And there was born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the earth. So, you know, we get how Job got to this level. He was rocking with Yah. Yah's favor was upon him, and, you know, he was well known for being one of the richest and whatnot. Now we're going to go to Job 42, verse 10 to 17. Job 42, verse 10 to 17. Just reinforcing to give you some examples of how when Yah's blessings upon you, you know, he can put you in some marvelous situations. Verse 10, and El turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. And El gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came there unto him all his brethren and his sisters, and all they that had of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him and comfort him over all the evil that El had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So El blessed the later end of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. This is 17. And he called the name of the first Gemini. Yeah, there we go. And the name of the second Kizah, and the name of the third Kiran Hapuch. And in all the land were no women found so fair, beautiful, as the daughters of Job. And their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. And this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. So Job died being old and full of days. You know, so just giving y'all some biblical examples, how Yah, you know, showing that favor, and Yah can do marvelous things upon people. And, you know, one of the biggest blessings here, Job got to see his 4 generations of his grandchildren. You know, ain't too many people can even say they seen their 1 grandchildren. He got to see 4 generations. Except Brother Rudy, because you walking in Yah's favor.
No, my grandmother's so quiet.
You see, because you walking in Yah's favor. Even life, you know, that's a favorable situation right there, because Yah give it, then he take it. That he can add life to it, you know. Okay, in that aspect. Now we're going to look at walking as the hustler. Exodus chapter 5, 1 and 6, and how stressful it is when you're walking in that spirit of a hustler. You know, you're trying to make it happen. You ain't nothing, Yah's not involved in this situation. You're doing it yourself, and you're going to see how stressful this stuff can be. Exodus chapter 5, verse 1 to 6. Exodus chapter 5, 1 to 6. And then we're going to go 14, chapter 14, and that'll be that for that one. Exodus chapter 5, 1 to 6. And afterwards Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, thus said El, Yah of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh said, Who is El, that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not the El, neither will I let Israel go. And they said, YAH of the Hebrews hath met with us. Let us go, we pray thee, 3 days' journey into the desert, and sacrifice unto El our YAH, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword. And the king of Egypt said unto them, Wherefore do ye, Moses and Aaron, let the people from their works, get you unto your borders? And Pharaoh said, Behold, the people of the land now are many, and ye make them rest from their burdens. Okay, so we see how, Yah's telling him to go this way, and Pharaoh like, nah, I ain't doing that. I'm going to do it my way, and that's the hustler mindset. I'm going to do it my way. Now we're going to see how this is playing out. Chapter 14, verse 1 to 7. Chapter 14, verse 1 to 7. And El spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they turn and encamp before Pharaoh, between Migdol and the sea, over against Baal Zephon, before it shall ye encamp by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, They are entangled in the land. The wilderness hath shut them in, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them. And I will be honored upon Pharaoh and upon all his hosts, that the Egyptians may know that I am El. And they did so. And that's another thing about bringing to another thing about the hustler. Most times, a hustler has a breaking down point because, you're working hard, you're doing things that Yah's not with and it's hard. And then a lot of times you'll see these people who had this mindset when, they get tired of carrying all this heavy lifting, they just have a breakdown. And at that point, they can have that moment of repentance where Yah, my life in your hand, you guide my life. You, like the Christians say, Jesus take the wheel, they give it up. They let God drive the vehicle at that point. But as long as somebody's in that mindset, because a hustler likes to be hands-on, they like to be the driver and not Yah, just like Pharaoh here. We are 117. And verse 5. And it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was turned against the people. And they said, Why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? All right, now we're going to go to 2 more, 7, 6, and 7. And he made ready his chariot and took his people with him. And he took 600 chariots and all of the chariots of Egypt and captains over every one of them. Now we're going to go to the conclusion of this. It's 21 to 28, verse 21 to 28. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and El caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all the night, and made the sea dry, a dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left side. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watched El looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, that they drove them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, Let us flee from the face of Israel, for El fighteth for them against the Egyptians. And this is 2:28. And El said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen. And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it, and the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea, and the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. So you see somebody who's going against the grain of Yah and what comes with that, especially trying to go against somebody who Yah is showing favor upon. You know, that's when you on a suicide mission at that particular point. And another example of this is Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel chapter 4, verse 22 to 35. Daniel. When you want to do it yourself, you know, I'm going to get this done and not invoking Yah. Now, the unique thing about Nebuchadnezzar was that he was able to humble himself before Yah and, you know, be restored. Pharaoh wasn't in that category. He had his heart set on just being in that state of mind because he had to get things done himself. Daniel chapter 4, verse 22 to 35. 22 to 35. It is thou, O king, that art grown. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream. If y'all not familiar with it, most of y'all should be. But he had a dream, and Daniel was interpreting the dream of Nebuchadnezzar and whatnot at this particular point. It is thou, O king, that art grown and become strong. For thy greatness is grown and reaches unto heaven, and thy dominion to the end of the earth. And Nebuchadnezzar, you know, he was very glorifying himself. Look what I did, all the hard work I did, I get it done. I didn't take no days off, and I got this done. Now look at where I'm sitting at now. Verse 23. And whereas the king saw a watcher and a holy one coming down from heaven, and saying, hew the tree down and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be the portion of beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which is come upon my Lord the king, that they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over thee, till thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree roots, that thy kingdom shall be sure unto thee. After that thou shalt have known that the heavens do rule. Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins by righteousness, and thine iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lightening of thy tranquility. All this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. And the king spake and said, is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power, and for the honor of my majesty? While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven, saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee, and they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of man, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagles' feathers, and his nails like bird claws. And at the end of the days I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me, and I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. That's one aspect, you see in, the hustler mindset. They never give honor to God. They never give glory to God. It's just, my hard work gave this to me, just like Nebuchadnezzar was saying. My hard work put the kingdom in my hand. There's no glory to Yah in it. And he's having a learning moment that, hey, this is Yah's doing, and it's only because of Yah's favor upon me that I was able to do that. Nothing more, nothing less. Verse 35. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. And none can stay his hand or say unto him, what doest thou? All right. And the last one about this is going to be Obadiah 1 to 17. I rarely go to this book, but when I was part of One West, we read this faithfully every week. Obadiah 1 to 17. The vision of Obadiah. This is another aspect of Esau trying to get it without Yah, and trying to impede Israel. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith El concerning Edom, we have heard a rumor from El, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise, yea, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. And that's another attribute of, somebody who's really in the hustler culture, very prideful individual. Thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And that's another thing that's common in hustlers. I ain't never gonna fall. I'm stay hustling. I'm this. What's up, bro? If you want to read it, you can read it.
Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and rebuild the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever.
Mm-hmm. All right, verse 4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, said El. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gathered came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are the hidden things sought up? And all the men of thy confederacy have bought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wonder under thee. There is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, said El, even destroy the wise man out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty man, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. And you remember when we were reading the definition of the word hustler, one thing is swindler. Edom is known as swindlers, always trying to get your blessing, always trying to deceive you out of your blessing and stuff like this. Verse 11, in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the stranger carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as of them. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction, neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked upon their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands in their substance in the day of their calamity. And that's what a hustler do. A hustler will definition-wise, a hustler is the type of person who will look for a vulnerable person to get their resources. You know, that's and if some people are old enough, there's an old saying, Brother Rudy, you probably know this. Why you hustling me, man? You hustling me, man. And now we see in this society that word is glorified. Hey, man, I'm a hustler, I'm getting it. But the root of it is negative. It's not positive. And you don't want to look at something from the midsection up. You want to look at something from the roots of it to really get an understanding of that. And if you look at it midway, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're missing a whole lot of that person or a whole lot of that thing if you don't look fully at it. Verse 14, neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape, neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of El is near upon all the heathen, as thou hast done, it shall be done upon thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continuously. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But the Mount of Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessors, etc., etc. Just showing you how Edom is going to get payback for swindling Israel. You know, being that hustling. You know, because even right now, what do these supposed quote unquote Israelites, Jewish people who are really Edom do right now? They every year they get donations by being called the people of YAH. People send them billions and millions of dollars, and that's supposed to be your money. You just a whole nation of Edom just swindled Zion, the true children, out of millions and billions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? They get money left and right over there. So they're a bunch of swindlers, you know, and that's very common. That even the Gentiles know that about the Jewish people, that they all about swindling people out of money and whatnot. Some notable things to throw this in for walking in favor with YAH. YAH blessings is Tobit, Jacob, Genesis 32, and Ruth, the book of Ruth. And for the hustler, just to note it, would be Ahab and Jezebel. There were some good swindlers right there. And the parable of the rich fool, Luke chapter 12, for, you know, they always trying to go get it. Be a go-getter. Ain't nothing wrong with being a go-getter, but be a go-getter in YAH. And we're going to talk about the next aspect of how the difference between how somebody walks in favor and how somebody walks as a hustler, how they deal with rest. Because the hustler don't rest at all. You know, if you ever, listen to a rap song, It's 24/7. I gotta go get it. No days off. And that's not how Yah works. That's not how Yah works. And as we know, today is the Sabbath at that, and this is a day off. So we're gonna go to 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 1 to 18, and I think I'm gonna pull this back up one sec to get something. Put it on here. Okay, yeah, I did put it on here. All right, I'm gonna let this come back up.
Screen sharing stop.
Hmm?
You repeat those chapters?
Yeah, this is chapter 1 Kings, chapter 19, verse 1 to verse 18. And as soon as this pulls up, I'll show this real quick. No, it's connected. It takes like a minute to do. I don't know why. These fancy TVs. Anytime.
I thought it said it was on a different source. It was that same PM3.
Right. I don't think nobody changed the channel.
No, it automatically did it.
Yeah, it just takes a moment to do it for whatever reason. Okay, well, I'll just switch it out, do this after this one. Okay, well, I was going to show you this culture of, with the hustler, there's a thing called no days off. I don't rest, work 24/7, 365, etc., etc. This, what I would say is not biblical or lines up with the Bible and it's I would say foolishness, understanding Yah's word into that, because Yah wants you to be rested. He wants you to, be able to be rested, like I said, and not all stressful. And we know how sleep on a scientific level, if you don't get enough sleep, you're impaired. It hinders that. Your health goes down, So, again, 1 Kings 19, 1 to 18. We're going to talk about Elijah. This is after he was just fighting with Jezebel. And, Jezebel was stressing him out, and she was trying to kill him and whatnot. And we're going to see how he handled this, how Yah moved him to do. So he just got finished battling Jezebel and her priests and whatnot. So 1 Kings chapter 19, 1 to 18. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withheld how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belonged to Judah, and left his servants there. And he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a juniper tree. And a juniper tree is like a broom tree. It's a very shady tree. And he requested for himself that he might die, and said, It is enough now, O El, take away my life, for I am not better than thine fathers. And as he lay and slept under a juniper tree, behold, an angel touched him, and said unto him, Arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baked on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid him down again. And the angel of El came again the second time, and touched him, and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. So, in these journeys of life, y'all understand we're in this form, this fleshly form, and we need rest. We're just not in an abundance of strength where, we can just go. So Yah, wants to make sure we get enough rest to continue to fight on, and that's one of the prayers I do on a nightly basis, asking God to give me rest so I can continue to the next day. Because if I'm not rested, I'm not in the best of mood, I'm not in the best of strength, etc., etc. I ain't got that hustler mindset. I like my rest. I like the Sabbath. Etc., etc. Verse 8, and he arose and did eat and drink and went in the strength of the meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of Yah. So right here is showing that Elijah, he chilled out for 40 days. Yah gave him some time to get himself together before he went back to the battle. And he came thither unto a cave and lodged there. And behold, the word of El came to him and said unto him, what doest thou here, Elijah? And he said, I have been very jealous for the Lord, Yah of hosts, for the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altar, and slain thy prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away. And he said, go forth, and upon the mount before thee, Lord, and behold, El passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains, and brake in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But El was not in the wind, and after the wind an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And this is 18. And after the earthquake a fire, but El was not in the fire. And after the fire a still small voice. And it was so, when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle, and went out and stood in the entering of the cave. And behold, there came a voice unto him, and said, what doest thou here, Elijah? And he said, I have been very jealous for El of hosts, because the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altar, and slain thy prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek to take my life, to take it away. And the Lord said unto him, go return on thy way to the wilderness of Damascus, and when thou comest, anoint Hazael, to be king over Syria, and Jehu the son of Nimshi shalt thou anoint, to be king over Israel, and Elisha the son of Shaphat of Abel Maholah shalt thou anoint to be prophet in thy room. So, you see right here, Yah gave him a space of time to get himself together, rest up, because he had to be rested and have his strength up to fight these big fights. He got to anoint people, he got to do this, got to do this. So Yah is all about, hey, get enough rest to recover and to move on and to do bountiful work. Matthew 11:28 to 30. Matthew, and this is one of my favorite points of this, and this is just showing that this goes contrary to the mindset of the hustler, and this verse is very clear about that. Because being of the hustler mindset, that's a stressful lifestyle. You always got to be a go-getter, you always got to do it yourself, and Yah's not about that for his children. He wants to do that. Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 to 30. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden. I mean, that's the hustler right there, heavy laden, does a lot of labor, etc., etc. And I will give you rest. I won't have you working 24/7, etc. I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So this is showing you right there, y'all ain't all about overburdening us, having us overworked and all that mindset. That's a worldly mindset. What we need to focus on is walking in Yah and walking in his favor to have the best life possible we can have here. We don't have to be stressed out and miserable here. And I know some Hebrews promote that. That's not true. That's not biblical, should I say. Psalms chapter 4. Psalms chapter 4. Read the full chapter. It's only a few verses. Hear me when I call, O Yah. Of my righteousness thou hast enlarged me when I was in distress. Have mercy upon me and hear my prayer. O ye sons of men, how long will ye turn my glory into shame? How long will ye love vanity and seek after leasing? And I thought that was interesting, leasing. You know, this is a very leasing society at that. Verse 3. But know that the Lord hath set apart him that is godly for himself. El will hear when I call unto him. Stand in awe and sin not. Commune with your own heart upon your bed, and be still, Selah. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness, and put your trust in El. There be many that say, who will show us any good? El, lift thou up the hand of the countenance upon us. Thou hast put gladness in mine heart more than in the time that the corn and their wine increase. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me to dwell in safety. And the main part of that, the last verse of, I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me to dwell in safety. And just showing this is the opposite of the lifestyles of how the go-getter is in the worldly aspect. This person is laying in peace, they resting, they living in safety. They're not overstressing. Got to be a go getter. That's not Yah. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 12 to 14. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 12 to 14. Deuteronomy 12 to 14 reads, keep the Sabbath, and this particularly, is a no-brainer, especially on this day. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as El thy Yah hath commanded thee. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all your work. And as we know, the hustler mindset is 24/7, 7 days a week. I gotta get it. There is no days off. You whack if you rest. But Yah said, I commanded you no work on the 7th day. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the day of. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of El thy Yah. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine asses, nor any of thy cattle, nor any stranger that is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservant may rest as well as thou. And I think y'all do that here unconsciously when y'all be like, Susan, go to bed. It's the Sabbath. Get some rest. Susan, go to bed. Yes, sir. Okay. It's the Sabbath, Susan, you working. Go to bed. Okay.
So good. See?
So y'all lining up unconsciously, y'all in the spirit. But okay. Well, we leave the bad dog out of it. Just go to bed. Get some rest. John chapter 5, verse 19. 2 more verses on this. On the aspect of God wants us to get rest. He doesn't want us to work 24/7, 365 days a week. That's not Yah's mindset. And we're seeing that in the scriptures. Even during trying times with Elijah, he let him rest for 40 days. John chapter 5, verse 19. John chapter 5 to 19. Then answered Yahusha and said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For what things soever he doeth, these also do it the sons likewise. So, as being, the man in here, sons of Yah, we're going to take this mindset, because this is to add up to this one, the precept to go along with this one. So, he's basically saying here, the son is doing nothing that the father don't do. All right, Genesis chapter 2, verse 1 to 3. So, keep that in your mindset. Yahushua is saying, I will do nothing that the father don't do. Genesis chapter 2, verse 1 to 3. I will do nothing that the Father don't do. Genesis chapter 2, 1 to 3. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day Yah ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And El blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested all his work which Yah created and made. So this to show you that Yahushua promoted, like, hey, I don't do nothing, and I ain't promoting that nothing that the Father don't do himself. And we see in Genesis chapter 2, verse 1 to 11, Yah say, I'm chilling out. No phone calls, I ain't building nothing, I ain't building no plants, no animals, I'm resting. So, we got to make sure we have that mindset. And if you walk in Yah, you can have that favor of that, because we being obedient to him in the aspect of working 6 days, and then his favors is upon us and resting and all that. We ain't got to go out here and be that 24/7 day a week hustler. That's a stressful job. And I'm going to end on these 3 verses. John chapter 10, verse 7 to 8. John chapter 10. And all I was going to show up there was just some the sayings of hustle 24/7, no days off. How's it's big in the society. No days off.
And there's another thing too.
What's that?
A lot of people, like on my job, right?
Uh-huh.
When I first started working in the post office. Everybody's like, the day shift work.
Right.
They work in 24/7. You know that your Social Security runs an hour. Right. So they're building hours. So when Social Security time comes, they have ample enough money to when they retire. So it's like we don't have rich jobs. You know what I mean? We always have to work on the bottom end. So it's like everybody's trying to do what they do. When my parents came over here to America, the concept was get as many freaking jobs as you can get.
Right. That's an in-loving color skit.
I had 4 jobs. Went to school full time.
Right.
And my mom was like, "When do you sleep?" I couldn't care less. You know what I mean? I had to get that money coming in because it helped out with the family and everything.
Right.
So it's like we're built up on that mindset.
Right.
Or church don't even tell you shit.
Right. And that's a very hard life, though, right, brother Rudy? Like working 4 jobs, going to school. That's a hard life.
Well,
we
always helping our family.
Right.
We have strong people in our family.
Right.
So it's like I didn't see anything. I ate the proper foods. I exercised a lot, and went to work like it was nothing.
Right.
So it was. I got 3 hours of sleep.
And that's not good. That's not good.
It's not good.
Right.
But when I did it, I feel good about it.
Right.
Right. I did it for a long time.
Right.
Even in the military, when I had my first job, the Air Force didn't pay me for. I got a job outside. And there's weekends I've stayed up for 72 hours straight.
It's definitely not good.
I know it's not good, but in my mindset,
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm making money so I can.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And if we would focus on like, hey, I'm gonna work hard. I'm not gonna overdo it like Yah, because Yah don't want you to overdo it, but I'm gonna walk in Yah's favor because he gonna fill them gaps. I only made $400 this week, and my rent is $800. Somehow, some way, Yah just made it happen, and that's where walking in favor of Yah. Always getting that stuff that you can't do.
Faith.
Right. And having faith in all that, because Because y'all don't want you to do all that stuff. They're working 24 hours, 7 days a week, you know. But John chapter 10, verse 7 to 18. John chapter 10, verse 7 to 18. Then said Yahusha unto them again, Verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, things that are associated with the hustler. But the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out, and find pasture. The thief cometh not, but for to steal, the hustler, and to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. But he that is the hireling, and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth. And the wolf catches them, and scattereth the sheep. The hireling fleeth, because he is a hireling, and careth not for the sheep. Just like a hustler. I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and I am known of mine. As the Father knoweth me, so I the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And the other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, this I must bring, and they shall hear my voice. And there shall be one fold and one shepherd. Therefore doeth my Father love me, because I lay down my life, that I might take it again. No man take it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again. This commandment have I received for my Father. And the last one is going to be, two last ones going to be in Psalms. Psalms 111 to 1:4. Psalms 112, 112. Psalms 112 to 1:4. Alright. This is Psalms chapter 112, verses 1 to 4. Praise ye El. Blessed is the man that feareth Yah, that delighteth greatly in his commandments. His seed shall be mighty upon the earth. The generation of the upright shall be blessed. Ain't no, this right here is telling you these people didn't have to hustle to get this favor. They just had to be on point with Yah, have the favor of Yah. You know, your your hustle right now might not affect your children, your grandchildren in 3 generations, but your favor with Yah will affect them for 3 generations. Just like the scriptures say, I bless from generation upon generation. All right. Verse 2, his seed shall be mighty upon the earth. The generation of the upright shall be blessed. Wealth and riches shall be in his house, and his righteousness endured forever. See, a hustler can't outdo a person who walks in Yah's favor. They get it every month, every year, every day, and they don't have to work hard for it. They just got it good with Yah. 4, unto the upright there ariseth light in the darkness. He is gracious and full of compassion and righteousness. And the last one's going to be 119, verse 60. 119, verse 60. And if we want this lifestyle of peace and blessings, because I don't live a stressful life. I think y'all don't. I live a very favorable life. Things just happen, blessings left and right, and I love it. And this is one of the things that helped me continue to walk in that favorable life and not even want to have the mindset of a hustler. 119 and 60. I made haste and delayed not to keep thy commandments. So, y'all y'all will, some understanding went out and some, edification, and maybe something to think on later. The difference between walking as a hustler and walking in favor. It's a big difference. Both have benefits. A hustler, they could be driving the Benz and all that stuff, and a person who's in favor could be driving the Benz, et cetera. But they got it by two different means. So y'all will, edification came out, and hallelujah.
Okay, fam, before y'all move around,
Do all the stuff.
Miss Valeria, we doing donations so she can get some pretty stuff to have for festive for us. So if you're able to give some change,
Little cup right here, donations.
Hallelujah.
and remember, whatever donations, if it's leftover monies, trust me, we got Passover that's right around the corner that we gonna be right back doing the same thing with. So whatever you could give, whatever's extra, it'll go towards Passover also.
Hallelujah. Or Cash App.
Yeah, that too. And please make sure you put in the notations that's what it's for.
Did you hear?
Brother Jay was saying, if you don't have cash, you can do Cash App. Send it. You don't do Cash App.
Straight cash.
Oh no. Where's the do right there? And we for being Gavin found some cute